Well, tonight across the country and right here at home, lawmakers are responding to calls about gun control, mental health, and reform to try and stop mass shootings like the two that happened this weekend from happening again. Joining us to discuss what path our political leaders could or should be taking, Jennifer Scholl with the Ohio Coalition Against Gun Violence and Gerard Valentino, co-founder of Buckeye Firearms. I think everyone has the same goal here to stop these mass shootings, right? So Jennifer, let's start with you. What could or what should Ohio lawmakers do?
Well, our platform is basically that we need restricted access to weapons for specific people who have a history of violence, people who have a history of dangerous patterns of behavior, people such as the shooters involved in this case. We do not believe that mental illness plays a factor here. As a mental health professional, I can tell you that increased mental health treatment available to the wider public would be amazing, but it's not going to solve these problems with these mass shooters, because these mass shooters have a combination of antisocial and narcissistic personality disorder traits, which are not treatable with medication or traditional therapy, or really any kind of therapy that's available at this point. So the only thing that we can do about these people right now is to look for them, catch them, and restrict their access to weapons, and that is our platform.
And with Buckeye Firearms, Gerard, what's your platform?
Well, restriction to violent people is already there. Anybody with a domestic violence conviction can't own a gun. Anybody that has a felony conviction can't own a gun. So those limitations are already in place. Where we draw the line is taking away somebody's fundamental right without proper due diligence and without some type of legal process to do that. Okay. You're taking away somebody's fundamental right, any of the fundamental rights. We happen to be talking about the gun rights here, but it really wouldn't matter whether we were talking about First Amendment rights. Without some type of due process is something that I don't think any American would want to stand for, and particularly Buckeye Firearms would never stand for.
We heard last night protesters, people at a rally for Governor Mike DeWine was speaking, they were shouting, "Do something," kind of drowning him out. So I think that people want to see something be done.
Absolutely.
What do you think should be done?
Well, Pete, we're tired. We're tired. I'm a mother. I know many parents. My daughter is the same age as the children that were killed at Sandy Hook. I am tired of this. My daughter has been participating in active shooter drills since she was 3 years old. It's crazy. We've created a culture of fear here. People are tired. We're exhausted. We want to be able to go to the store, go to a concert, go to the park. We want our children to be able to go to school, and we don't want to have that anxiety that we may be shot, killed, that we may never see our children again. This is a terrible way to live, and we're tired of this. And there has to be something.
Yeah, and Gerard, we heard people saying to the governor, do something. Is there something that you would like to see done?
Well, we've already started to do the things we'd like to see done. We've expanded concealed carry in the state of Ohio. We also have it now where there are teachers that are allowed to carry to protect children at school. So we've started to do the things that will protect Ohioans. The fact of the matter is, one thing that we know for a fact is that in cases where there was an armed victim, whether it be a police officer, a concealed carry license holder, the death tolls in these cases are much lower than in cases where there's no armed victims and people are just left, staring down the barrel of a gun. So I think we're doing the right things by expanding concealed carry in the state of Ohio, by allowing teachers to protect their children, to protect the children in schools. Teachers who choose to, not all teachers have to. And I think that in the short term, doing something that is the wrong answer is much worse than making sure we do the right thing.
Here's the problem with that. These events are escalating. This is becoming a sport for these people. It's a game of one-upmanship. Can I do better than Eric Harris and Dylan Klebold? Can I do better than Adam Lanza? It is becoming a competition. And in these events, they will start planning ahead, and we've already seen that in Dayton. He showed up wearing armor and a face mask. They're going to invest in Kevlar. They're going to invest in protective equipment. It took 58 shots to take him down. Yes, they did manage to get him down in a good amount of time, but nonetheless, and one person with a handgun is not going to have 58 rounds on them to take down a shooter who is wearing armor.
And we're going to hear from the governor tomorrow with his plan. What do you expect to hear from him, or what would you like to hear from him?
I would like to hear from him that he does not go after law-abiding citizens with guns, that he allows people to have concealed carry license, the ability to continue to carry, that they expand the opportunity for people to be armed in more places. Because the fact of the matter is, there are plenty of cases where one armed individual took down spree killers. It's happened time and time and time again. The reason that they're not as well publicized as the cases where 20, 30 people are killed is because they're stopped after 2 or 3 people. And in the example of the 2 cases, Toledo and El Paso, is a perfect example. The death toll in El Paso was 20 because there was nobody armed in the vicinity to stop the killer. In Dayton, I'm sorry, apologize, I said Toledo. In Dayton, the death toll was 9. Why? Because within 30 seconds, somebody responded with a gun. The same thing happened after the school shooting in Florida and the school shooting in Maine. In the school shooting in Florida, the death toll was horrific. The school shooting in Maine, there was a resource officer that responded immediately. The only person killed in that case was the shooter. So it's not a hypothetical about whether or not armed victims could stop these things. It's a fact. We know it. The cases are out there. The examples are out there. And to do anything else is to leave American citizens staring down the barrel of a gun. And there's nothing more morally abhorrent than leaving a victim at the whim of a killer.
And obviously, this is a very an issue that the nation is talking about, so I appreciate both of you sharing your opinions here. We appreciate it, Jennifer and Gerard. We're out of time, though, again. But this, of course, is a story we're going to stay on top of over the coming days, weeks. Head over to NBC4i.com to learn more about the victims and the suspects' past, what we know at this point, and much more.